And welcome to week 4 of the semester. It started today, September 10th, and will run through Sunday, September 16th. I just wanted to go over a few things with you for this week, a couple of things of note. I did complete your purpose statement assignments. I finished grading those, and I gave you some feedback. So please be sure to look into the feedback I've given you. Sometimes it's just in the by your grade. Other times you have to go into your document and see that I've written on there. If you go to my grades, if you click in there, mine won't have any because I don't have anything posted, but typically you'll have a grade here and there'll be like a speech bubble to the side if I have written on your document. I am able to provide you some pretty good feedback writing directly on your document as opposed to giving you the feedback that you would get just with your grade. So make sure you check both of those places. I gave several of you some feedback regarding how to modify your purpose statement. So please take a look at that. If you have questions regarding why I made those suggestions, let me know. I did give you some examples. You do not have to use the words that I used. It's kind of a guide for you if you want to change it up a bit, but just kind of take into account what I told you about why I made those changes. So look at that. Make sure that you make the changes before you put that purpose statement in your template to be graded at the end. So make the changes now, and then so you don't forget, and then you can put it into your template once you decide what kind of prospectus you're going to be writing, either qualitative or quantitative. So you should be getting a pretty good idea of how you're planning on conducting this research. Remember, you do not have to carry it out. It is just kind of a plan, a prospectus, and but you do need to be thinking ahead on how you would do it and if it is actually possible, because that is going to be part of the grade. Would you be able to actually carry this out? Those of you who actually do a thesis for your program, I made a note to you in the announcements last week. And if you are one of those students in a program where you create a thesis and you are using this project, the final project for this course, as your thesis, then you need to make sure that you talk to your advisor, show them what you're planning on doing, and let them tell you if it's doable or not. Those of you who are doing that for this thesis, it's very important that you get all the components, you get them correct. So as I'm giving you the feedback on each component of the prospectus, please make sure to go back and make the changes that I've suggested. Okay, so let's go ahead and look into our module for this week. Module 4. I've given this to you in a different format previously. It's APA style that you should be using to cite your journals. This is for journals only. For your annotated bibliography assignment, I did require you just to use journals, so you should have used something like this, and it should look familiar to you. Once you get into looking for other resources, because you have to have more and more as you go along with your literature review, you may find a book that you want to use, and that would look a little bit different than this. This is just for like peer-reviewed journal articles. So be sure that if you use something different than a journal article, you make sure that you're using the correct APA format for that. So here's a quick example. You do the author's last name, comma, first initial, the ampersand between the last and the next to the last one. In this case, it's only 2. Parentheses, the date, capitalize the article title, the first letter, any proper nouns, or if you have a colon, the first letter after the colon. Those are the only words that you should have capitalized in your journal article title. You notice a period, and then this is the journal title. If you notice that both words are capitalized in the capitalization for this is different than the article title. Also, the journal title is italicized. If you look next, so you have a comma, space, then you have the volume number in parentheses with no space. You have the issue number. The volume number is italicized. The issue number is not. Next, you have a comma and then a page number range. Notice that there's no abbreviation for page there, no P period, no PG period, PP period, those things that I've seen. There is none of that. You just put the page range right there, and we will know what you're talking about. You end with the period. If you can find the DOI, then go ahead and put the DOI number on there. We should not have any websites on this. You're not going to be citing from a website. You don't have to do the retrieve from and put the URL or anything like that. So just include the DOI. In this module, it tells you that you will have a quiz due at the end, and then you will have research questions due by September 16th. So that's this one right here and this one right here. We'll talk about those in just a minute. The literature review that I have in here, that is not due this week. I just want you to begin working on it. I don't want you to save it till the week it's due, because it takes a lot of work to write this and get your articles collected and evaluated. So make sure you go ahead and start looking at this and thinking about that this week, because you really don't have a lot to do this week. So this would be a good opportunity for you to get ahead on that. So in this module, we're looking at qualitative research. You will be making a decision, like I said, whether your research lends itself more to qualitative or quantitative methodology. We are also going to be covering briefly mixed methods, which would be a combination of qual and quant. But I would encourage you for this course not to do that, because that's a lot of work. And we're not really going that deep into mixed methods. So if you could choose a pure quant or a pure qual study, that would be most helpful for you. So the big thing this week are going to be you writing your research questions. If you notice, I do not have a specific number that you have to have written down. Some research projects lend themselves to more research questions, and some have fewer research questions. So you just need to make sure that you have enough questions to cover what you are trying to look at through your purpose statement. So go back at your purpose statement and see what kind of questions you would need to have answered to fulfill your purpose. So you do have, for each research question, there are 3 components that you have to consider. The people, which is a group of people being studied, options, and then the outcomes. So if you notice, I gave you an example right here. What are the comparative benefits and risks? That's your outcome. On persistence of completing a task when music is played in the classroom and when the class is silent. Those are the 2 options that you have on students with autism. Those are the people we're going to be looking at. So if you notice, I have each one of those. If you follow this format, then your research questions should be pretty good. You will submit to Blackboard in the Upload Assignments tab. Another big point that I want to make is that you do not ask yes/no questions for research questions. So these questions should encourage a discussion that you would have about your results to answer these questions. So I gave you this example right here. Does playing music in the classroom help students with autism persist in completing assignments? I'm kind of asking about the same idea here and here, but this can be answered with one word: yes, no. This we're going to have a discussion about and look at our results. And so that make sure that you do not ask yes/no questions. Then I also give you a couple of guidelines for you to evaluate your question by. And then there is another video that you can watch about developing a research question. Then we go on to looking at and reporting qualitative data. If you choose to do a qualitative study, then there is still data to analyze. A lot of the students in the past have chosen qualitative data, but then they just think that you collect the interviews or the surveys or the open-ended questions or whatever their data collection is. They do that, but then they don't talk about how they're going to analyze that data. So I want to make sure that you understand there are still data analyses that can be done on qualitative data. So in your prospectus, your final paper, do not forget to determine and write about how you would analyze the data of your qualitative study. And even if you don't think that you are going to be doing a qualitative study, please be sure to pay attention to this, because we see a lot of qualitative studies these days are becoming more and more prevalent. So I want you to be able to understand how to read those and what the results mean, how they collected their data, and just to give you a good overall feel of what good qualitative research looks like. And then it goes into APA formatting. This is kind of just a big overview of the APA manual, and it can help you determine how to write in APA format better. You could also, if you want to read your APA manual, that works as well, but there's some good information in here. And then you will complete your quiz, chapters 15 through 17. And before, it was noted that the videos that Dr. Fell created that cover the chapters we're going over do not always hit on every single thing in the chapter. It's kind of highlights, the summaries, more in-depth conversation about certain pieces of it. So make sure that you do not just rely on the videos, but you also read the chapter for yourself. Remember, you have 2 attempts at that, and they are timed, and I take the higher of the 2 attempts. This is just a reminder, be looking at your literature review. And then this is the outline you will be using, the template that you'll be using for your prospectus if you choose to do a qualitative study. So this is here in this module. You can go ahead and open it up, look at it, and see what are the components that are in there. We've already got a couple of the components working. So as we go through this, continue to go through this semester, we will kind of take those components and complete them together, and then you'll plug them into the template, and you'll have your prospectus completed. Okay. I think that is all for this week. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Remember, you have your quiz due and your research questions due, and then be looking ahead to your literature review and start working on pulling some articles. I hope that you all took advantage of watching the video that I submitted, that the library created for you all, that talks about how to effectively use NSU databases. That's your best place to go for journal articles and information. Remember that you are not looking for articles or research about your exact specific topic. If you notice down here, the research questions, one of the ways to evaluate your question is it a new problem that needs to be solved, or is attempting to shed light on a previously researched topic? Make sure that you have some kind of new idea that stems from something that's already been studied. So make sure you're not looking just for articles that are the exact same that you would be doing. You're looking for some way to add to the body of knowledge, something different, something unique, or a different perspective, or with a different group of people, something different. So if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to contact me by email, or you can call me call me and we can get together by phone, or you can meet me in my office, or we can meet virtually. Have a great week.